All right, man, peace. So, brothers, this is going to be volume one in a new series that I'm starting called Can You Forgive? And the reason why I've been inspired to start this series is because of a little mini portion of a new segment that the CBS Morning News show has started called Talk of the Table, in which the three journalists find their own stories that they want to deliver to the public. And what they do is they use the other two journalists on the panel as a sounding board for what they feel about the story, what they perceive about the resonance or the repercussions of the story, so on and so forth. What are their perceptions? So the journalist here at the far right, Mr. Tony Dokoupil, is going to bring up the subject of forgiveness. And the reason why I wanted to touch on this is because that's a major problem for all of us. And I'm speaking to the so-called black man because my channel is a pro-truth channel geared towards the so-called black man. And there's a reason why forgiveness is an issue. It's because in the so-called black community, we do not operate according to a common code or common methodology of handling our business. And I'm just speaking in general. I'm not saying that there are not cats who operate according to a high level of integrity. Obviously, there are. But because we don't know how the next person lives their life, their decision-making process, and what they believe the impact is of their decisions on others, we tend to not give one another slack. And all of us can have issues with forgiveness depending on the situation, our personality, who we're dealing with, whether it be a family member, a friend, or what have you. But the importance of this series, in my view, is that brothers have to understand that when people do you wrong, to some degree, you do have to be able to move forward. You cannot just hold on and harbor all that negative energy inside, because it's going to impact our now and it's going to impact our future. What do I mean by that? Many times when we harbor the anger, the resentment, it stops us from being able to mobilize and get to a higher level of existence, of success, or what have you. There are people who are still upset about something that happened to them 25 years ago, from someone who might not even know that they exist anymore, may have forgotten the entire situation. And once again, we all have issues with that. I personally believe that there's a direct correlation between having an issue forgiving others and your level of loyalty. Because the more loyal you are, the higher your expectations tend to be of others. And when they don't show the same level of loyalty that you were imbued with from infancy, from birth, that tends to breed resentment. After a while, we can become so disappointed by frequently coming across people who are disloyal that we become more and more cynical. And then we start to shut ourselves off from the outside world. And that might stop you from being able to show your gifts to people, and that's extremely important. Whatever your gifts are, you have to be able to display them to the world, because we're all servants at the end of the day. Everyone is a servant. That's how you receive your recompense. You receive your recompense or your payment by showing your gifts. That's how you serve your people. That's how you serve your world. And that's how you justify your existence here on the earth. There are so many people who have no idea why they're here. The reason why there are so many people who do not know why they're here is because there's not enough of an investment in instructing people on the importance of searching out their own gifts, utilizing them, and themselves becoming servants. You know, when you read Matthew, the 6th chapter, for those of you brothers who read the scriptures and believe in the scriptures, Christ instructs his congregation on how to communicate with the Most High through prayer. And of course, he delivers the Our Father prayer, which goes, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Forgive us our debts, or sometimes it'll say forgive us our trespasses as we forgive our debtors, or as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, now and forever. Amen. And right after that, Christ expounds on the importance of the prayer by stating that we have to forgive those who owe us, those who have infracted upon us, or those who have sinned against us, because if we don't, the Most High is not going to forgive us for our infractions. If we forgive those who have infracted upon us, then the Most High is more likely to forgive us for our sins. That's the importance of forgiveness. And I know that it's very difficult because, once again, when you're a very loyal person, you have high standards of conduct for yourself, and you tend to have those same standards for other people. And we have to understand that everybody's different. And there's a varying definition for what forgiveness is. In my view, forgiveness does not necessarily mean that everything goes right back to the way things were before that person infracted upon you, or whatever the perceived infraction was. But we do have to have the ability to move forward. We can forgive. We all know that forgetting is going to be very difficult. But we do have to be able to move forward, because there are going to be things that we do in life that are going to offend other people as well. At the end of the day, we've all been done dirty by a certain situation, and we've all done people dirty in some way, shape, or form, whether we want to acknowledge it, admit it, believe it, or not. So the importance is the legitimacy of the forgiveness and the person seeking out forgiveness, and not just trying to make it a ho-hum ritual where you claim that you forgive someone, or someone claims that they're seeking out your forgiveness. And the most important component of forgiveness, in my view, once again, is being able to move forward. You have to stay mobile. You have to stay flowing for your entire life. You have to keep flowing, man. If you become stagnant, it's just like a lake or pond. Lakes and ponds are known for being dirty. Rivers are known for being at least cleaner than lakes and ponds. Why is that? Because the water is flowing. That's why when you read the scriptures, knowledge is always compared to flowing water, not necessarily stagnant pools. We have to keep moving forward, man. And an important aspect of that is being able to forgive. You know, when we come upon these various people that we encounter in life, we're going to do things for them that we believe are favors. But I've always stated that we have an investment in who we assist. That's why I always tell cats who come on my channel and thank me for something that I've stated. That's great, that's cool, but the most important thing for that person to do is thank the Most High, because that's the calibration that we need as so-called black men, is to understand that the Most High is our head, and we're supposed to be a microcosm in the flesh of that to the best of our ability. We're always going to fall short, that's fine, but at least if we have that aspiration, we can improve on certain issues in the so-called black community, and then the man is the head of the woman. We have to make sure that we're crossing all of our T's and dotting all of our I's when it comes to those things. And when you do a favor for someone, or you help someone out who's in dire straits and they're quote unquote ungrateful, it doesn't make any sense to get upset with that person as long as you did it out of the purity of your own heart. Many times we get upset with the favors that we did for someone and they're not thankful because maybe we were not doing it out of the purity of our own heart. And once again, at the end of the day, everything that we do has an incentive. There are very few things that we're going to do that don't have an incentive. But in my view, when people do you dirty, the reason why you want to conduct yourself on an elevated level is so that that person can be the recipient of the appropriate energy that is meant for them so that they can learn their lesson. When you allow a situation with someone else that you've done a favor for and they're not thankful for that favor to become an exchange of vitriol or a cantankerous situation, you're stopping that person from receiving their recompense. You're stopping them from receiving their judgment. Because when people do you dirty, they're going to get done dirty in some way, shape, or form down the line. And your hands will be clean. You're not going to have to get your hands dirty. You understand that? So that's the importance of forgiveness to a degree. And once again, forgiveness is not about, hey, you know, you my homeboy again, or you my girl again, and we're going to act like nothing happened. But you do have to operate on a higher level. And I speak about relationships a lot on this channel because that's one of the main stumbling blocks stopping the so-called black man from elevating to a higher level. A lot of us hold on to certain things, certain indignities that we believe were done to us in the past by a female. And you have to understand that this is a Babylonian convention, this society, this quote-unquote kingdom that we're living in. This is a society of confusion. So the woman is going to be allowed to do certain things that she probably should not be able to do. But that's more of a reflection of how off point so many of the men are, particularly the so-called black man. When we get more on point and we develop a code, that's going to stop the woman from being able to engage in her hijinks. So the onus is always going to be on us. And I say that because when cats find themselves quote-unquote getting hurt in a relationship, don't go back and forth with the woman cursing her out and things of that nature. The woman is whimsical. Let her go according to her whims. Let her go receive her quote-unquote karmic debt down the line. If indeed you are the infracted party that you believe you are, and you're the person who was in the right, let her go off and meander into her next situation or situations, and she'll find out if it's meant to be, because that's how the Most High takes care of situations. And that's what the scriptures mean by forgiving your debtors. Because we fall short all the time, and if we expect forgiveness, we have to be able to move on a higher wavelength and a higher path. And once again, I cannot proclaim, I cannot accentuate how difficult that concept is, because we all struggle with forgiveness. And when I say we all, of course, I'm talking in general. I'm sure that there are people who are very good with forgiveness. A lot of us are not, especially in the so-called black community, particularly the so-called black man. So that's why I want to start this series. But anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
So important.
Tony, what have you got?
I've got a little something on both the subject of forgiveness and sleep, two things that people enjoy. Turns out they're connected. If you have trouble falling asleep, here's one thing that you can try. Be a more forgiving person. That is according to a recently published study in the journal Psychology and Health. It surveyed more than 1,400 Americans.
And brothers, let me also state this. The number one entity that we have to learn to forgive in life is ourselves. Many people have been through very trying situations in their childhood. They may have been molested. They may have been assaulted. You have women who may have been sexually assaulted. You have young men who may have been put through trying situations, may have been locked up and been forced to endure a very toxic environment, or maybe have been forced to grow up in a toxic environment in their home life. And they take it out on themselves in the form of drug use, alcohol abuse, things of that nature. We have to learn to forgive ourselves. I know a lot of people, I'm talking about in my personal life, I know a lot of people who have been through a lot of things, and they constantly have to be reminded about their successes as opposed to the trials and tribulations that they've been through in their life, because they have trouble forgiving themselves for things that were not even their fault. A lot of times we're very hard on ourselves for things that are not even our fault. So it's very important that we know how to forgive ourselves also.
And it found that people who are more forgiving, that means forgiving of others or forgiving of themselves, were more likely to sleep better and sleep longer.
And hey, brothers, we've all been through that tough situation in life where you have a hard time getting sleep because you're like, I can't believe this person or that person did that shit to me. I say it again. When you start to try to interact with, whether it be through text message or email or phone call, with someone that you had a close affinity with, whether it be a friend, a family member, a former significant other, try to take the high road to the best of your ability. Because many times, especially if you're dealing with a female and she knows that she is showing disloyalty, they'll try to cover it up by playing the fake nice woman role. And I always tell brothers this, and I'll probably be delving into this more in other videos. Ignore the woman when she tries to play that role, even though she knows that she's being disloyal, or you perceive that she's being disloyal. Let her go about on her business, whatever that may be. Remember, the woman moves according to curiosity and her whims. Do not even respond to those type of texts. Let her drift off into her future life, whatever it may be. Because the reason why the woman will try to play the nice woman role, even though she knows that she's doing something that she's not supposed to be doing, or in her subconscious mind, she's thinking something that is not upright. The reason why she's trying to play the nice woman role is to absolve herself of being the victimizer, as opposed to the role that they prefer to play, that being the victim. You have to take the high road, let it go, it's okay. Because if you engage in that argumentation with the woman, that's going to substantiate her claim that she's the victim as opposed to the quote-unquote victimizer. If you decide that you're going to try to exchange niceties with her, that's going to make her think that what she's doing is not wrong or incorrect. So just ignore them, let them go on about their business. You have to have your mind on higher things. Your mind has to be on the Most High. Your mind has to be on the accrual or the accumulation of wisdom, knowledge, understanding to the best of your ability while you're here. Because there's always another person out there for you. Always. And your best friend always has to be yourself. It's great to have friends, and it's great to have a best friend. It's great to be close to your family. But your best friend has to be yourself. You have to look out for yourself. The importance of your peace of mind has to transcend over everything else.
The result, they had better physical health and they were more satisfied with their life. Researchers say people who don't forgive tend to linger on unpleasant thoughts and feelings such as anger, blame, resentment, and that can detract from quality sleep.
Not only can it detract from quality sleep, it's also going to detract from the quality of your life. It's going to take years off of your life holding on to old issues from years ago. You have to learn how to, if not let it go per se, because we're all going to have memories and things of that nature. But we have to learn how to occupy ourselves and our minds on things that are constructive and fruitful.
Great American philosophers known as the Eagles put it well. Take it easy.
Yeah, I think that's really, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, I've forgiven the hussy I caught sleeping with my husband, but
I'm so happy Gail once again recounted this story right now, because I mention this every once in a while when I cover the CBS Morning News, and I think that brothers just think that I'm picking on Gail. I've told you, Cass, that the reason why she has issues with men is because she's still mad that she walked into her house 35 years ago and found her husband screwing some other woman. That's what she's still upset about. And she has the right to be upset with that. If he decided that he was going to make a contractual obligation with her and just be with her, she has the right to still be upset about that. And at the end of the day, she's a woman. She's going to lead with her emotions.
you're not sleeping so well.
I was going to say, how are you better?
I think it's his schedule. I think it's his schedule. It ain't her no more.
But anyway, that's basically it on that, brothers. This will be an ongoing series. And as I've already stated, when you interact with people or you develop rapport with people, everyone in your life has a beginning date and an end date. Do not be upset when the end date for someone in your life comes, because it's going to come. I don't give a damn who it is. I don't care about how much you care about them, how much you love them, or what their role is. One day your mother's going to pass away. One day your father is going to pass away. If you're fortunate, you'll get to live through the passing of your parents back to the spirit world. That's not even talking about the different people that we're going to meet in our comings and goings, so-called girlfriends or alleged friends or, homeboys or what have you, colleagues in the workplace. People are going to come and go in life. And we have to become comfortable with the transitional aspect, the transitional nature of life, because if you're not, it's going to destroy you. If you cannot deal with the fact that everyone is not going to operate on the same level of quote-unquote loyalty or fidelity as you do, you're going to destroy yourself. That's why I always state, you never take a woman more seriously than she takes herself. I'm not really an advocate of taking the woman that seriously, period, because I think that really is a way for you to affect your peace of mind and your harmony down the line, because the woman is just a child with breasts. Certain people might not like me saying that. It is what it is. But just to get back to the point, we have to understand, like the scriptures tell us, how to forgive our debtors if we expect ourselves to be forgiven. One day is going to come to a point where everything that we've done in our lives, we're going to have to be held accountable for. So if we expect compassion to a degree, we have to exert that in the fleshly form to a degree. And once again, I'm not saying to act all hunky-dory and act like someone who did you dirty, nothing happened. But to say, what, this person screwed me over 10 years ago, I'm going to go around and badmouth him or her and try to set her up to get killed. And there's a big spectrum to forgiveness. Some people can forgive and act like nothing happened. Other people's manifestation of forgiveness is, I'm going to let you live. I'm going to let you live for that shit you did to me. And there's a lot of nuance in between those two extremes. But we do have to understand and learn how to utilize everything in between that spectrum, because it's very important, it's pivotal. But anyway, peace.